as we say in South Georgia, and get your spokesman together. It will help. If you want to do that, I don't mind you signing up. If we run out of time, we will run out of time. I've got a lot of bills I've got to deal with, and just want to make sure. We're going to take up one before we take up the reapportionment bill. I'm going to do Mr. Willard's bill first. I'm going to do that for him. He's down in Judiciary. And this is House Bill 443, and this is a, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can certainly do whatever you want to. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No problem. I'm going to do 443 first because it is a general bill, and does everybody understand that because of Rule 50? Does my committee understand? Basically, the Chief Magistrate, is this, wait a minute, let me make sure I want this one. Hang on, can you? No, I'm going to have him be here on that one. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to hold that one. He'll have to be there. I thought that was going to be a nonpartisan election, but that's not it. Sorry. That follows along with 444. Okay, hang on just a second. 442, I mean. All right, we're going to hold that one just a second. In fact, Ward, can you go send somebody down there, and when you want to go and just tell Brother Willard he'll have to be there on 442, 443. Okay, I'm going to send Leo on over there to do that. I keep looking at these things, and I know that 443 will be a general bill, so we're going to go back to House Bill 171 by Representative Riley and the 50th, a bill to reapportion the Fulton County Board of Commissioners. Let me, as chairman, I have to explain to you the posture of this bill and the posture of local legislation. Local legislation by rule in the House of Representatives, if the signatures of the delegation are met and the chairman of the delegation has signed, this bill is ready for a local bill. It is a local bill. It's considered passed, and in fact, along with that. Now, what I'm doing today is having a hearing because there's been a lot of controversy about the bill. We're going to let folks sign up to speak to the bill. And again, I'd rather you wad up somewhere and get some spokesmen or spokespersons together, and we will hear the issue. We do have the map of the new map. It'll be over on the right. Reapportionment is here to discuss this. Now, I'm going to warn each and every person in the room. This testimony is recorded. Reapportionment bills are not final here. They are only final at the Justice Department. Does everybody understand that? And whatever you say can be used against you or for you in a court of law. Understand that when you go up and testify today. You can be called to court and you can be called to testify. I want you to understand that because this is a reapportionment bill and it is not finished until the Justice Department has its final say. Does everybody understand that now? Please, and those folks that don't understand that really need to understand that. Now, I'm from South Georgia. I've lived down there where I've got more armadillos than people. And I don't have a dog in this hunt. But I'm willing to listen, and that's what we're here to do. Okay? I want to keep this meeting civil. I want it on the order of gentlemen and gentlewomen. And that's what we're going to do. If it gets out of hand, I can get out of hand. I went to the Citadel, so I understand how to make it happen. Okay? So as long as we're on that kind of basis and everybody understands, that's the way we're going to handle it. At this time, I'm going to let Ms. Riley bring forth her bill, House Bill 171. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, ma'am. You go ahead. You need to turn your mic on there. Wait a minute. Witness 2, is that it?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Today I bring to you House Bill 171. This legislation redraws the Fulton County Commission districts to reflect changing population trends within the county as required by our U.S. Constitution. Due to the tremendous growth our county has experienced, this legislation will add one new district seat to the commission. This will result in 6 district seats and 1 chairman elected at large. This action falls in line with the county's history of adding districts to reflect increases in population. The resulting map is fair, complies with constitutional and federal mandates, and consists of compact districts. Thank you for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Do I have questions from the members of the committee? Hit your button. There's a little button over there. Number 14.
Just out of curiosity, when was this map drawn? Was this drawn last year?
Thank you for that question. No, ma'am, this map was drawn and introduced in this current session.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Number 27.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. With this particular map, was there input from the Fulton County Commissions, and do we have a resolution from them either accepting or rejecting this map?
Thank you for that question. The answer to both of your questions is no.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the committee?
Why?
Restate your question, please, ma'am.
To the question that Representative Bell just answered, can you tell us why they were not involved with it?
I can only tell you that that did not occur.
Any other questions, members of the committee? Okay. I've got a couple of questions. Okay, this is just from perspective of chair. The governance of the structure of Fulton County went from 5 district seats to to now 6. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And how many were minority-majority districts before, and how many minority-majority districts are now?
I would defer to reapportionment personnel, but I believe it is 3 before and 3 now.
Okay, hang on just a second. Let me... Is that you down there on the end? 12?
That would be me. Right. Mm-hmm.
So it is 12. Excuse me, 12.
Well,
it is 3 and 3. Now, it was 3 and 2 before, correct?
3, 2, 4. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
And then two elected at large.
Gotcha.
Right.
I understand. All right. We have any other questions from members of the committee to Ms. Riley? Okay. Our first witness, or to speak to or against the bill, is Greg Fan. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Hold. Let me get your mic on.
Thanks so very much. I wanted to speak to House Bill 172. I didn't know you were moving in that order, so I want to speak to House Bill 172. But I am on the record opposed for the map that's being proposed now.
I understand.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Bernie. Is it Torres? Will you state your name, please?
Bernie Tokars, resident of the city of Atlanta. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, like this map, represents one man, one vote, and will help bring geographic diversity to the Board of Commissioners. So I ask your favorable consideration, and the same on the House floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have is it Michael Fitzgerald?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The population has shifted in Fulton County, and it needs to change. We have to do something about redistricting. We have to. Redistricting in Fulton County is not about race. It's not about a power grab. It is a grab for a disproportionate power that should not have been distributed in the way that it is in the first place. It is about what men have died for to protect. MLK fought and died for. It's about equality. The issue boils down to one man, one vote. The question is, what is fair? Is it fair that North Fulton District has significantly more people in it than other districts? Clearly, it dilutes the voters of District 3. The contention is about sharing power. Please trust me when I tell you that the citizens feel the tyranny of a distant and unresponsive government. It is reflected in the services that we get, the concern that we get from the commissioners, from the commission, the crumbling infrastructure that was left us, and frankly, the attitudes that we deal with every day. We cannot continue to resist this fundamental right of equal representation, making redistricting about race, publicizing it as a power grab, and demonizing the people who are all we're asking for is equal representation. If we don't get justice today, we will forever codify and confirm the unfairness to the people of North Fulton that we have felt for years. It's time for a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions to the gentleman? Okay. LaDawn Jones, is that right? LaDawn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a representative of this House, I know it is unorthodox typically for us to speak at these hearings, but also as a resident of South Fulton County, it's apparent that I do. The truth of the matter related to these maps is that Fulton County did, in fact, submit a map that they felt was appropriate for reapportionment after 2010. The map did not include a second seat in North Fulton County, and I do not think that that is the concern that has been expressed to me from the members of my district and my neighbors and community members. What is concerning is when you look at the map, and at the bottom of the map, where we see that it is what I learned in law school is called gerrymandering. The map is drawn in a way so that like districts are not held together. The previous map had District 7 include the more suburban portions of Fulton County. South Fulton, unincorporated South Fulton, Palmetto, Fairburn, Union City, those areas are alike in the way that they are built and the way they are held together. It did not contain a very large portion of the city of Atlanta. This new map now takes along the bottom of the county and goes up the side of the county to include portions that it had never included before. And I do not think that that is about making sure that it is appropriately apportioned, because we can look at the map very clearly and see that it could have been drawn in some other fashion. I will not dispute the growth in North Fulton County, but what concerns me is that we are diluting the voting power of the people of Fulton County by reducing one of the at-large seats. That is my first concern. And then that we have selectively chosen to draw the final portion of the county in a way that combines several of the commissioners who are already on the commission. And that's what this is about. And people will be uncomfortable saying it because they don't want to be disrespectful. But the fact of the matter is that the district that is blue on the map, the bottom portion, which I think is now District 6, includes the current Commissioner William Bill Edwards, Commissioner Emma Darnell, as well as the at-large Commissioner John Eves into one district. So if this map were approved and it came to a vote, the voters who have again and again and again chosen those commissioners to be their commissioners now have to choose. It is a clear bias, and that is just not how we should use our political power in the state. To A, not accept the maps as submitted by the counties as we do for the vast majority in the state. To B, gerrymander the counties so that certain people who we do not want on the county commission can no longer serve. And then C, pretend as if this was something that just happened to be because of the way that the numbers fell out. We have to do better. And Mr. Chair and the members of this committee, I ask that we not make this be about party politics and supporting our friends. We need to do what's right, because Fulton County may not be your county, but if the parties were to switch in the future, your county may be next. Let's send this map back. Let's have it drawn appropriately so that it is not made in a biased fashion, and so that the people who live there can be represented by the people who they truly want to be represented by. Final thing, and I'll sit down, is that I believe that Madam Riley may have been incorrect. I do, in fact, believe a resolution was passed in which this map was not accepted, and which it was only one vote by Commissioner Hausman from the Northern District to not support this map. The County Commission and the voters are clear. They do not like this, and we ask that you vote it down. Let's send it back. Let's do it right. It's one less time we needed Georgia to look silly, because we are still having issues over voting rights.
Okay. Ms. Jones, can you stand for a few questions?
I certainly can.
anybody want to ask questions of Ms. Jones on the committee? I got a couple. I just want to ask, now I'm not asking you if you're aware, and if you don't, answering you don't know is fine, okay? Do you know if the district, the southern half there, the blue, do you know if that is lost population?
If they have the lowest population?
They have lost population.
They actually have not, because if you look at the blue portion.
No, I'm talking about in the old district. Did it lose population?
Absolutely not, and I'll tell you how I know that.
Okay.
My district, District 62, was drawn out of District 65 that belonged to to Representative Sharon Beasley Teagues. We gained 30,000 new residents, which allowed my district to be drawn. So we know it has not lost population.
Okay. I'll remind you again that I don't know a whole lot about Atlanta and the way folks are distributed up here. The Fulton County is nothing compared as far as area as mine. I mean, I got about 700 miles. Seems like I've got to go. I got 3 counties that I have to represent, and it's a long way. But what my question to you is this: as you know, as population builds or population decreases, and is it not true that we have to change? Now, do you know how many people each one of these districts represent at all? I mean, do you have a clue?
I do not know the total. I want to believe the number was 4. I think we have a gentleman over here who may know the answer to that.
Hang on, let me get you on. Okay.
You're talking about under this proposal?
The old proposal and the new proposal.
The old proposal under 5 districts, you would have about 184,000 a district under a 5 district. Under this year, about between 153 and 154,000.
So they've gained about 40-something thousand people.
Gain.
I mean.
Now, well, the county population in 2010 was about 920,000. So if you divide that by 5, you get about 184,000 a district.
Right. What was the old way?
The old one under. You mean if you divide this into 5 districts instead of?
No. What, I mean, the old population was what?
About 816,000 in 2000.
So everybody's increased, right? Each district has increased in number.
Well, there were some that were more. Some had to grow.
Well, I know that. I understand. But what I'm saying is, by and large, everybody's even under this new plan. Everybody's increased.
Close to about 153,000.
So that's gone up a good bit. So what you've in a way you've kind of outgrown your britches, and you got to either expand them, or you got to you got to lose some weight, and everybody's got. I mean, that's kind of the way you look at it. I don't be that. I like to put it in terms everybody understands. I mean, I'm kind of colloquial, so hang with me. And my committee knows that I get colloquial. Okay, I'm kind of be a little bit humorous. I try to keep everything on a good basis here. All right, on the next, I have another question for you. Okay, number 17.
Thank you, Representative Jones, for your remarks. Coming from County Commissioner background, I just want to make sure I understood you correctly. Did I hear you say that the Fulton County Board of Commissioners did vote on this particular issue already? Can you kind of touch on that a little bit more for me, please?
Absolutely. And if I can, I'm assuming that if this is like court where I practice, we can enter evidence in that may go along with the discussion. I have here in my hand from February 6th of 2013 a resolution opposing House Bills 170, 171, and 172, signed by Commissioner Edwards, Commissioner Darnell, Commissioner Eves, Commissioner Pitts, and Commissioner Gardner, attested by the clerk to the commission and the interim county attorney. So there was, in fact, unlike our Representative Riley said respectfully, that there was a resolution passed. There was, in fact, one passed. And if I can enter that into the record, and if I can also enter one other thing into the record, I have here a copy of the original Fulton County map. And to the chair's point, that we've grown. Thank goodness we've grown in Fulton County, because good things are happening there. However, if you look at this map, if it was really about adjusting the numbers, this line could have simply moved to the south. But instead of doing that, they drew a nice little circle in a roundabout way to draw particular commissioners into the district, and it's just not right. And if I may present these to the chair.
You certainly can. And again, those are valid points. Do I have any other questions for the gentlelady from Fulton? Okay, do I have anyone else that wants to
Thank
speak?
You,
Ms. Beasley Teague, my colleague for many, many years. You want to come on up?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I must remind you, I didn't vote against your bill a few minutes ago.
I always like when you don't vote against me, Ms. Sharon.
Okay. Oh, let's do the same on this. Please forgive me for chewing. But I've been running. That's the only way I can calm myself. Now, questions on the map, if you have any, I will take those too, sir.
Okay.
But Fulton County has grown. The south end where I live, and I have represented for 20 years, short time, but lived in the area for 43. The area in Fulton County that I'm talking about there is the only area left where you can expand, you can put more development and whatnot in Fulton County. As big as that county is, it's the only place left. And some of us still have a little acreage, so not as populated as the city of Atlanta. But the drawing of that particular map clearly leaves our residents unrepresented, because when you enlarge the number, what I represent, what, 54,000?
56.
56, okay. I left 2,000 off because there's a lot of people. And we increased by dropping the districts from 7 to 5. You're increasing the number of people that our county commissioners have to represent. And in no other county of this size, that number of people, have we decreased the number in the country where the county commissioners had to increase their numbers like that. And that's about the country. So in the state, I don't understand why local control only applies in Georgia outside of 285 and not inside of 285. Because the lines that you have there, clearly, when you see what they've done there, it's pretty blue. I like the colors. That's what I like about the colors. But the number of representatives that we have, it's impossible to have good representation on a full-time basis with that number of people in each district. I mean, of course, I understand, you want work people and overwork people, but unless we're going to increase their staffs and things of that nature, it will be impossible for them to do that job. Now, that's just my personal opinion. Since I travel around the country and around the state, I've looked at paperwork, but I do have some people here that can give you the numbers. It's just important to me that Fulton County is able to operate independently as it has done for all these years. And I'm talking, I've been here 43, so over 100 and something years. I think we even, in that time, we let a county that was dying come into Fulton County, called Milton.
You had Campbell County too.
Yeah, yes, we did. We did. In those years, because they were dying, they didn't have money. So what I see is we're trying to kill Fulton County. You're right, I forgot about Campbell County. And Campbell School was here today. But what I see is trying to kill Fulton County so that we can no longer exist under our present government isn't good. Now, I would appreciate it if the author of the bills could just sit down with me and we draw lines and work it out where we can have good representation as far as the number of people in the district. That would help me. Would help me a lot. And the people in Fulton County.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any questions from Ms. Number 17?
Representative Teague, I would like to know how many people, how many state representatives represent Fulton County? What's your delegation number?
I mean now or?
Now, right now.
25. Right now.
There's 25 state representatives in the General Assembly that represent Fulton County?
That's in the House.
Okay.
Yes. That's not the Senate.
Okay. And so what I'm hearing is that you all have not sat down and kind of communicated about what you would like to see regarding Fulton County in this bill? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, we have not. We have not sat down. We did not sit down.
As a delegation?
Not as a delegation, talk off this bill. We had a public hearing for 50 minutes for the public to come in and talk to the delegation. The legislators did not say anything because we were trying to hear what our constituents saying, and what they said loud and clear was, hell no, do not do this to us. But the legislators, we just sit there and took notes because it was their opportunity. And on Monday, just this week, we had over 300 here from 1 to 4 saying the same identical thing. So, no, we have not sit down as a delegation and discuss anything that's going on with Fulton County.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 14?
One other question. With the new map being drawn, is this going to put some of the now county commissioners up against each other?
Yes, ma'am. It would put my county commissioner, and which is okay for me. I call the name, sir.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
up to you, ma'am.
All right. Bill Edwards would run against Commissioner Emma Darnell. And this map, and I can show it to you, this map went over and got a house. Didn't get a person hardly in it. It just went right over here and picked up a house, but I know where she lived. I knew her mother. It just picked up her house. The rest of this is Bill Edwards. And then over here, they took out some of this area here that Bill now represents. But they picked up Commissioner Darnell's house and said, okay, you run against Bill. Now, these are commissioners that represent the minority community in Fulton County, but we have elected them. I've known Commissioner Darnell since the 70s, and I've known Bill because he's an all-state insurance person in my district for years, for a long time.
Yeah.
So that cuts our representation on the South County, which is the only growing piece of the county, down. We'll miss a whole commissioner.
Understand. Any following questions, Ms. Alexander? Number 25.
Thank you, Mr.
David?
Chair. This is to the author or to the speaker. As it relates to the proposed District 6, you pointed out, is it 2 incumbents in that district? Or is it?
It's actually,
It's actually
3. It's actually 3.
Okay. And can you tell me where you said one was at the tip of the blue? Okay, where is the other resident?
20. Bill
toward,
lives.
Is it, you don't have to move, you can just tell me, is it toward the bottom?
Toward the bottom, yeah, he lives.
Okay, and where is the other one?
And John lives right there. Okay.
And while you're saying that, my follow-up question in districts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, are there any joining of incumbents?
Excuse me for taking over. I know I'm not the speaker. 5 would, I believe, now be a seat that no one currently lives in. Commissioner John Eves was here in this tip that brings down.
In the tip that tips 5, where no one lives?
Well, no, not at 5. At the
No, right. I'm saying the edge of 5.
Yes.
Okay, right. I got it.
Commissioner Emma Darnell is here in this portion at the very top. Everybody on the NC, and then Commissioner Edwards was down here in Fairfield.
Unincorporated.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have other questions, but I'll wait and let
You want to
someone
hold?
else.
Okay. you have that privilege. Hang on just a second. 18.
Yes, Representative Jones, trying to catch you while you're over there at the map. If you don't mind, is it okay if I ask her this question?
You certainly can.
If you could point out on that map, if it's labels, I can't tell on my map here, where the city limits of East Point and College Park are.
Absolutely. Those are parts of my district. East Point is this section here. You can see.
Does it? How far down does it curve?
The tip of East Point stops right here.
Okay.
This section of 5. College Park is a portion of this blue section here. You see that along the edge of the county border, and then all of this portion here is unincorporated Fulton County.
So it looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the line for 5 and 6, as far as that curve up, may have been a curve up to separate the cities of College Park and East Point as far as who represents them on the Board of Commissioners.
It would appear that way from a distance, but it does not. There are 3 voting precincts from East Point in 6, and there are 7 in District 5. There are 7 voting precincts in District 6 for College Park. So it looks like they did encompass all of College Park into District 6, the new District 6. But East Point is cut in half. And also, let me point out what we're discussing, that SCO 5, which is my voting precinct, is split directly in the middle between Districts 5 and 6, which is something the Department of Justice typically does not like for a voting precinct to be cut in half.
I just have one last question. The top of District 6 there, the light blue, is that the city of Mableton that comes in there? Is there, what city is that comes in? There's an incorporated area there, is there not?
Yes, Mableton is in Cobb County.
Okay.
This is the city of Atlanta. The
That's
city
all.
of Atlanta goes until about right here.
Okay. Thank you. And correct me sorry for my ignorance on the cities. I was looking at the old map versus the new map, and I saw an incorporated area there separately. Okay, thank you.
Any follow-on? Any other questions to the lady?
Sit down, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Forgive me.
Are you?
Okay.
No other questions,
Okay,
Ms.
thank you.
Ms.
Thank
T. Yes, ma'am. Will you please state your name?
I surely will. Thank you for hearing from us. My name is Vangie Watkins. I live in unincorporated South Fulton County, outside of 285 in the Cascade area. I was going to speak, but what I'd like to say is I support everything that LaDawn has said, and I support everything that Ms. Teague has said. I was one of the first people to testify before the Board of Commissioners in favor of the maps that were drawn and approved by the Board of Commissioners and certified in December of 2011. I'm sorry, 2011. I apologize.
I didn't think you were that old, ma'am.
No.
That's all.
Well, I'm up there, but I'm 78 years old. But what I'd like to say also is that Fulton County did approve a resolution to not be in support of these bills. So there were 2 things that were said today that I disagree with, and I wanted you to know I don't know what happened to the resolution to not be in support of these bills, and I don't know what happened to the original map that was approved by the Board of Commissioners. Everything that's being done now, that was done by the commissioners, was fair, open, transparent, above board, with public input, and has been totally disrespected and not recognized as the wishes of the people of South Fulton County. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone have any questions for the lady? Hang on, Ms. Riley. I'll get with you in just a second. Anyone else to speak to the bill? Yes, ma'am. You please state your name.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Liz Hausman. I represent North Fulton County in District 3. I wasn't planning to speak. I had previously testified at the public hearing that the county delegation held in support of these maps. And I wanted just to reiterate that to you this afternoon, that I feel strongly that these maps will give fair representation to the people of Fulton County, especially the North Fulton area that has been so underserved. There's been a lot of conversation today about the location of the current commissioners. I just want to make sure that the committee is aware that currently there is one commissioner that resides north of Buckhead. That would be me. There's approximately 400,000 people in the area that covers. So this map is a good map. It represents one man, one vote. It gives fair representation to the people of Fulton County, and I support it. I was one of the two commissioners that voted against the opposition resolution. It was not unanimously approved to oppose this. There was two North Fulton representatives that were in favor of the proposed map, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay, 26.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said that you were present at the meeting and that you voted. What was the vote
on the
resolution?
On
the resolution.
The resolution was 5-2.
Thank you.
And then previously, the map last year, I also opposed it because it did put higher concentration of voters into the districts in the north part of the county compared to the districts in the south part of the county, and I could not support that either.
But the people were present and the commissioners voted based on the people's input, and it was a 5-2 vote. Is that what you're saying?
The map was presented by the Board of Commissioners, correct. I did not support it at that time.
Thank you.
Any other questions to the gentlelady? Ma'am, I got a couple.
Sure.
What is the salary for a commissioner in Fulton County?
$40,100.
Do you receive any other compensation?
Limited. There's a travel budget, and there is a reimbursement for mileage expenses.
Okay. So is it considered a full-time job?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. Okay. That's just questions I had to make sure everyone knew. Okay. Any other questions of the gentlelady? Any other members of the audience wish to speak to the bill?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Riley, 2-3, excuse me.
I just have a question. Maybe it's for you, Mr. Chairman, or it may be for the reapportionment office, just to make sure I understand this process. If the House of Representatives approves these maps, then is it my understanding that they have to go to the Justice Department for reapportionment? At the Justice Department, they review that and decide whether or not these maps stand before they can actually go into effect?
This is the way I understand it, and I will stand corrected from reapportionment. I'll answer your question. The way it has to, we draw the maps, okay, either us or the Senate. Usually it comes from our side. The Senate usually just draws their maps and lets us handle the rest of it. I don't know why that is, but that's the way it's been since I've been here. Once it passes the House, it goes over to the Senate. And then once it's approved at the Senate level, it becomes an act. And at that point in time, the governor can sign it. If he wishes to, if he doesn't, he can veto it and it goes back again. If he does decide to sign it, then the Justice Department does have to weigh on the subject matter. If they can't come to the decision, then I think the federal courts then decide if they can't come to an adjustment. Usually I've seen a couple that have come back and the courts that then decided. Usually it's federal court or sometimes it's even Superior Court, I'm not sure. But last year we had a couple bills that did not make it, and I think the judges have decided. I think they were over in Cobb and Richmond, and I think the judges actually decided theirs over there. But again, they could never come to a decision at all on their maps. There was no decision whatsoever. But you have to understand the way this bill and the posture of this bill and the way it stands. Do you wish to speak? Give me just a second. The way this bill is that the requisite number of signatures, which is a majority of signatures by the rules of their delegation. There has to be 13, and there are 13 signatures. There has to be a signed affidavit by their chairman that this is true. That has been met. The rules of the House are that bill is basically a local bill and needs to go on the calendar. What we're doing is discussing and letting folks have their say about these maps. But this is not the last say by any means as the way this bill goes. I have to say that in all honesty. And you follow on question?
Yeah, I just wanted to, so before any of the commissioners would run against each other, the Justice Department would look at these maps and approve the maps before it would actually go into effect.
Yes, sir. I think that has to be the way it is before an election can be structured. Any other questions of the gentlelady? Mr. Flood, did you want to speak? Hang on, I do have a question. Just a minute. 14, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm just, I'm trying to understand what is the process, because I would think that those maps, since they were approved this year, should have been a reapportionment this year. So I'm trying to find out what is the difference.
I'll help you with that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
They don't run in the normal time frame as everyone else, because they waited till this year to do theirs because their elections are not till next year. Normally everybody else's was this past year. They ran in most of them were. And I'm not saying all, Ms. Flood, hang with me. Don't throw rocks at me yet. I'm just hanging loose here. Again, I got more armadillos than folks. Remember that now. We can vote armadillos, we'll outvote y'all down there, okay? But I'm just saying, most of the districts last year, the reason reapportionment was done last year, we ran last year, Congress ran, we had to get the lines done. Most every county election was run last year. Now, the city elections we don't handle. City municipalities, the legislature doesn't handle that. They handle their own. They do their own thing. We handle the counties and the legislature and Congress, okay? And I think we also handle the judges. Am I right? Reapportionment, can you help me there? We do handle the reapportionment of judges, is that correct? Judicial circuits, we don't handle that? Okay. I just want to make sure. We do handle it in the local bills section, but we don't handle reapportionment. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Did I answer your question? Mr. Flood, I'll let you speak. My good friend from down in Fayette County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the committee. I really want to just offer some insight from having been through this process a time or two with regard to...
Haven't we all?
Yes, indeed. But particularly for the new legislators that are here. We have a sort of a concept in the General Assembly, and unfortunately it's not always followed, but it actually makes good sense, and that is local control. And inevitably it's used when it suits the speaker's advantage to say this is about local control. And this issue is one of those that is rife for all kinds of controversy, as you've obviously seen over the last weeks and months as these bills have moved forward. I have had several bills that have come through this committee, and one of those had to do with reapportionment, redistricting. And it was brought to my attention that the local county commissioners were in direct conflict with what the legislature wanted to do. And in that case, we were trying to redraw districts. The county commissioners sent a resolution to the General Assembly and outlined their opposition to that bill. The members of this august body saw fit to pay attention to what the local commissioners had indicated were most important to them. And they indicated, the commissioners did, that they did not want a reapportionment at that time. Likewise, in this scenario, the Fulton County Commissioners took a position, they took a vote, and in a democratic process, the majority of the members of the commission said that they did not approve of the maps that are being proposed today. Now, mind you, the commissioners themselves had proposed another set of maps that they had brought forward. They redrew their districts because, like many other communities, they'd grown and they needed to redraw the maps to reflect the new population boundaries. And so they put forth a map that they felt was appropriate for the commissioners. And I just, again, provide some instruction to the new people in the General Assembly that politics is always very local. And when the General Assembly oversteps the wishes of the local community, we invite more controversy, more difficulties, more problems than we anticipate. The commissioners were elected by the people of Fulton County. They were empowered to draw new boundaries, which they did. Those boundaries were not accepted. And now the legislature is saying that we know better than those people who were elected to do the jobs that they currently serve in. I think that's patently unfair and goes against, to me, a democratic process which says the people who are elected to do the job that they are elected to do ought to be allowed to do that job. Unless, of course, they were committing crimes or committing some corruption, then there may be some other remedies. But in this case, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners have made it very clear that they do not support this map. That's it.
Any questions to the gentleman? Okay, Ms. Stevenson, number 25.
Thank you. Would you please, by way of history, am I correct that this reapportion map decreases also the number of commissioners to the author?
Yes, it goes from 7 to 6.
Well, there still will be a at-large, someone who runs countywide?
Right. Oh, that's right.
Let me try to help you with this, so we won't have 4 folks going here.
Okay.
The way it was in the past, there were 5 district seats and 2 at-large. This creates 6 district seats, which expands the number of districts, and 1 at-large, which would be the chairman.
Okay, I understand.
It was 2 at-large before, and 5 districts. Now 6 districts with 1 at-large. Okay. And that would be the chairman.
So the 1 at-large would be one of the 3 that's now included in the incumbency of the proposed District 6. Is that correct? Meaning the chairman lives in the proposed District 6. Right. So whoever runs as chair would run at large, but currently they're residing in 6, but they'll run at large countywide.
Yeah, they could live in 1, 4, 9, 12, whichever one it is.
So then my question goes to these guiding principles, and either Speaker or the author or reapportionment can address those as it relates to then drawing the communities of interest, looking at the incumbency in the precincts. How was that taken into account in drawing particular 3, 4, 5, and 6, because they appear to be very compact?
I can't answer that question because I guess it's everybody. They're trying to figure out where 56,000 people? Is that what you're saying? 153,000 people. So they got it's kind of like down South Georgia. Yeah. You know, I'm just going back.
I see the evenness in it, but I see the evenness drawn in that looks as if, because one, you have like an island in the middle of one. So my question is, again, in the communities of interest, in achieving what appears to be a population that may be equally distributed, but is equally distributed on extreme, elongated, some crossing over, and that is my question, is how are you achieving those guiding principles of reapportioning? Again,
I don't have a dog in the hunt. I want to make sure everybody understands that. But the deal is, I'm just going to refer to you when we drew reapportionment maps down in South Georgia. We were short folks. You know, we can't count alligators and armadillos. If we could, we can outvote you, but we can't down there. So what we had to do, we had to figure out where folks were, and so folks started moving into everybody's districts. Well, it put 2 chairmen together. I can guarantee you it did, and because I was one of them. Okay. Tommy Smith and I had to share, you know, and he's a great friend of mine, and we ended up having our district overlap. He decided he wasn't going to run this time, and that may have been why we drew over. But there were several people. I mean, Mr. Hanner and Mr. Green down in our area, they ran over, and several others, Ms. Taylor and Mr. Maddox, if you remember, Dr. Jean. They ran over. It's just because we had to have more people, we had to represent 56,000 folks. They had to hunt them up. I assume that's what they're doing here. I can't And you can draw it any way you want to. But again, I'm going to say this again: unless justice passes judgment and everything works out the way the Civil Rights Act is and the Voting Rights Act is, that's the only way it's going to work. I mean, they're going to pass judgment on it. This is a map. There may be 9 or 10 maps before it's all over with. I don't know. I can't. I mean, I've seen it. You know, Representative Flood, you've seen it too. You've seen these maps roll up, and sure, there'll be 9 or 10 maps somewhere along the way. And again, I think, but with all, if everybody's head will just stay together, I think this will all work out. Okay.
Well, I appreciate your optimism, Mr. Chairman.
26. Let me get. You got another question?
No, I was just going to ask the author to respond to Representative Stevens.
Let's go. I'm sorry. The author or?
No, I'm waving right now.
You're waving? Okay, we got to wave. Hang on. Hang on down there, young lady. We're going to get you straight. Okay. One of my new ones. Okay, any other questions? Mr. Flood, I got him on the board here. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to add something with regard to what you said with South Georgia having to have people run against each other because the population was declining.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's exactly the opposite here. The population in Fulton is growing.
They're trying to create here, and of course, now I'm gonna tell y'all, y'all stole 2 from us down there. We got, we moved them up. They stole them. You know how that is.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chairman.
you understand. We understand that. When the population has shifted north and east, the population, and that's the way it is. I mean, now where we live. Now up here, it's everywhere. You just gotten so big, y'all got to either let out the seams on them britches, like I said a while ago, or something. I mean, I know what you're trying to do, and I know what they're trying to do. But I'm just going to say this again: if our heads will just stay calm and collected, all this will work out toward the end. I'm sure.
And I just want to add, Mr. Chairman, that I appreciate the professionalism and the decor that you've conducted yourself during these hearings. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Is there anyone else wants to speak? I don't want to leave anybody out. We open this thing up. Ms. Riley, I'll give you the last few minutes here if you want to reiterate anything about the maps and whatever's been said, and try to reiterate what you want to say here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got the wrong one on. Apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your indulgence and also the indulgence of the committee, and appreciate the questions and conversation that occurred today. I do want to clarify 2 points. The first being the question that I received regarding a resolution from the Board of Commissioners. I had interpreted that question to be, did the Board of Commissioners pass a resolution in favor of the map before you today, which is why I responded no. And I apologize for any misunderstanding. The other item that I wanted to clarify was Representative Beasley Teague's mentioning about additional people being represented by commissioners based on the map that is before you today. And that I would like to rebut. The map before you today would have 6 district commissioners representing 153,400 per district. Currently, the commissioners represent over 184,000 members if it was by the map that was prepared by the Fulton County Commission. The decision to present a map to this committee with 6 districts was to reduce the number of people represented by each commissioner. And I thank you for allowing me to clarify.
I understand. I think that makes plenty of sense there. If anybody else, yes, ma'am. Those are new maps. What is this? Old maps. Okay, I'm sorry. And that's the resolution. Okay, all right. Okay, I got you. All right, what we got before us, members of the committee, I'm at this point right now. What we got before us is House Bill 171 by Representative Riley and others. It has the requisite signatures. That amounts to 13, okay? That means it is ready to go to the local calendar. I'm going to remind the members of the General Assembly, Ms. Jones, Ms. Teague, and others. Ms. Dawkins-Hagler, I didn't see you. Tyrone. As you know, the Speaker has asked that once we wanted to hash it out in here, and we don't debate local bills on the floor, as everyone knows. You have the right to call it off and vote it separate, whatever you want to do on the floor when it comes to pass. It will probably come on Friday, whatever they may be, however this committee is feeling about it. Okay, we got to understand that there will be no debate on the floor. Will y'all please hold to that? I will ask y'all as a gentleman's agreement here in this committee that we not debate them on the floor. It causes too much dissension. You do have some options. You can present a map. If you can get the requisite signatures, it can roll too. You do have the fact that the Senate has to vote this bill, and you have your say in the Senate. You have the same number of people that can go and present themselves over there in the SLOGO committee. We call it that for a reason. The other side of the point is this also, that the Justice Department will make its recommendations upon this no matter what we do and what we say. Is that understood to everyone in this room? Yes, ma'am. Okay. At this time, yes, ma'am.
Understand that should this map go outside the Georgia General Assembly as approved, passed by this committee and in the Senate and whatnot, that the commissioners may have to run one time on this before we can get to court and get it changed. Okay. Yeah. The House of Representatives did that when you and I were both Democrats.
Yes, ma'am.
It was pre-cleared. And we ran on a map of District 48, and it was 5 of us in the thing, and they came back and the master redrew the districts while we were in those other districts.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're going to tell me?
But this one has not been pre-done.
Okay, now it wasn't pre-cleared until the end of, it wasn't pre-cleared until the end of the session, but what I'm saying, we still had to run. So they run, what, next year?
No, ma'am, they won't run on this until it's pre-cleared. I can tell you that. They can't run on this until it's pre-cleared.
Okay, being pre-cleared means what? Maybe we have a different understanding. But what I understand pre-clearance means, you can run on it, the court will operate, and then they will make the decision when they have their hearings.
I'm gonna refer to counsel on that one, because that is a legal question that I don't know the answer to. Counsel, is that one? 13, excuse me.
I'm not familiar with this legislation. I didn't draft it, but it appears that the elections or that the effective date is 2014 and 2015 in Section 5, which gives us plenty of time for pre-clearance. I've never known pre-clearance to take longer than 6-7 months at the most. So I don't.
So you're in agreement with me that before these elections were held, they'd have to be pre-cleared?
Yes, I'm sorry, sweetheart.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's only a few people I know in here. Sir, how long did it take to get those maps I'm talking about done? I'm sorry. Help me. I could be wrong. I mean, I've been here so long, I'll get mixed up.
You got to come down, sir.
And I might clarify that I'm speaking about local legislation,
yes,
not state
general,
representative,
not state. I understand.
general
I'm talking about local legislation.
That's a different.
This is a different whole thing than ours. Okay. Yes, sir. If you will come down, state your name.
I know you will.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Dennis Dunn. I'm Deputy Attorney General. I was asked, I think, by the chairman to come today. I'm the person who's done a lot of reapportionments. I've done 5 of the statewide reapportionments because we really, really like reapportioning. Apparently. I think what Representative Beasley-Teague is referring to is every 10 years the U.S. government conducts a census. They give us back the numbers. Then we have to reapportion based on one person, one vote. In 2000, we reapportioned the House and the Senate and Congress and passed new plans that we eventually sued in Washington on and got pre-clearance for the House and the Senate. So people were elected to the House. We got pre-clearance on House and Congress, not on the Senate. People were elected to the House and the Senate on those plans. And there was a separate lawsuit that was eventually filed here in Georgia in 2004. Those maps got thrown out in 2005. So we actually had to go through a lawsuit from about 2001 to about 2003 or so in Washington. And then we had to reapportion again after the plans were thrown out in 2004 and 5.
Question to you was, those were pre-cleared by justice, though, is that correct?
Well, actually, no. Remember, there's two ways to get preclearance. You can administratively apply to the Department of Justice, or alternatively, you go to Washington and you file a lawsuit against the United States Attorney General. What we did in 2000, with the 2000 plans, is we actually went to Washington and we filed a lawsuit against the United States Attorney General. And so they were the House plan, the Congressional plan.
Which were multi-member districts.
Yes, and they were pre-cleared by order of the district court.
That is not a... That's correct.
And it's not the lawsuit course. So what he's speaking about really doesn't have any application.
That's correct.
Right. And what you're planning on this bill is that they're going to be submitted administratively to the Justice Department.
Yes, sir.
The Justice Department has, under the statute, under Section 5 of the statute, 60 days from when they receive the submission in order to decide whether or not to approve, to pre-clear the plan. They can come back and ask for more information. The county then submits responses to the more information, and they have a second 60-day period in which to then evaluate once they've been told what the additional information was.
And if I'm not sadly mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, that if it runs over into the election, the old district lines are the ones that they use until such time as they can get the other. Is that correct?
Yes. What Section 5 says is you cannot put into effect any change in election practice or procedure unless it's been either pre-cleared by the DOJ or pre-cleared by the court order. So you would run on the old plans, but Fulton County's old plans are not compliant by one person, one vote standards.
I understand that.
So they could be sued on that ground.
I understand. So this is maybe a lawyer bill. That's why I always, I refer it to a lawyer bill. But anyway, thank you, Council. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that. Council, thank you so much. So there we have it. We'll roll the dice, okay? But again, I'm going to remind the committee that this is a local bill, and I will take a motion at this time. Do I stand for a motion? Number 20.
Mr. Chairman, I move for a due pass.
Okay, I have a due pass. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll have to poll. Okay? All opposed, please raise your right hand.
4, 5, 6.
Okay? 6 opposed. All in favor? State by raising your right hand. 7-6. It passes to the House on the local bill calendar. Okay, that will be on the local bill calendar. This will be on Friday. Okay, all right, 7-6. Next is House Bill 172, and it has been pulled. They're going to get a secondary. They're going to do a substitute to that, I think. House Bill 347 to create a Board of Elections and Registration. Madam Riley, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, I bring House Bill 347. This bill will revise the appointment process of the members of the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections. The board will remain at 5 members. 2 will be nominated by the prevailing political party in the previous general election, 2 nominated by the non-prevailing political party, and 1 member will be nominated by the Fulton County House and Senate delegation, all to be ratified by the Board of Commissioners. And I bring that to your favorable consideration.
Is there any change to that? Is there any changes?
In regard to...
Is this new legislation?
Yes, this is a new bill.
The whole thing's new? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Do I have anyone that wish to speak to this bill? Give you a minute to look it over. Do I have any member? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Jones? Hang on just a second. I got a question to the author. Can you hang on? Yes, ma'am. Miss Alexander? 17? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr.
Ms.
Chairman. Representative Riley, can you share with me, please? It states here, bill to revise the manner of appointing. What is the current manner of appointing the members of the Board of Elections and Registration?
The current manner is that the two are nominated by the prevailing party in the past election, two are nominated by the non-prevailing political party in the previous election, and one is nominated by the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, all to be ratified by the Fulton County Board of Commissioners.
Okay. Now, and did you get that?
I did. Sure. So basically, all the new way will leave it up to the Board of Commissioners to make the appointments. Is that what I'm understanding?
All the members get an appointment in the new one. Is that correct?
No. The appointments are two nominations made from the prevailing political party, two nominations from the non-prevailing political party, and one nomination from a caucus of the Fulton House and Senate delegation.
Okay.
Okay. Number 27.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Chair, to clarify, what you just reiterated is how it was done or how this new bill seeks to do it?
What I just spoke was how this bill will be enacted.
Okay. Am I clear that your question was how was it done before now? Previously?
Oh. My apologies. Previously, two were nominated by the prevailing political party, two nominated by the non-prevailing party, and one by any or all members of the Fulton County Commission, for a total of 5 members.
The difference is the commission doesn't appoint this time, that the delegation does. No, that's what I think. That's what they say.
Right. And Mr.
None of them. I mean, no matter who. There's none. Is that right? 0. Okay.
I had a follow-up question.
Yes, ma'am. You go right ahead.
Clarification on that. Thank you, sir. If you could help me with line number 23, it says it starts off, which member shall be designated permanent chairperson of the board. Can you explain to me how that particular position will work, or how that change makes a difference?
Yes, thank you for that question. That portion of the bill refers to the fact that the nomination from the caucus of the House and Senate delegation will be for specifically the chairperson of the Board of Registrations and Elections, and will serve as long as their term in office is applied, and that it is still for, I do believe, a 4-year term.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions, ma'am? Okay, I guess not. Ms. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My understanding of the 5 members is 5 proposed members, correct?
That is correct.
And 1 member would be selected by the legislative delegation?
That is correct.
Okay. And then, now, the Board of Elections is the arm of the county government, correct? They're the funders? Is the Board of Elections funded by Fulton County government?
Yes, they are.
And they will continue to be responsible for financing the Board of Elections?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, how then would the legislative delegation put in a member when it is almost as if then you would be selecting someone to represent on the Fulton County Commission, of which they are the instrument that pays and develops the county board of elections? You don't see that as a potential conflict?
I do not.
Any other questions? 23.
Sometimes I ask questions just to make sure I understand the situation. I come from local government, so I'm a little familiar with election boards. But is there anywhere, just out of curiosity, is this anywhere else in the state that the Board of Elections are set up this way that you know of?
I do not have knowledge to be able to respond fully to that question.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of the chairman of the Fulton County delegation? Anyone wish to speak to the bill? Ms. Jones.
Chair, Representative LaDawn Blackett-Jones from South Fulton County. I would like to state to the committee my opposition to this bill. I think by the question of the members of this committee is pretty clear, and we are going to start to see a very obvious trend. Why are we stripping the county commission from their power to make decisions in the county in which they were elected to represent? I know you all thought we moved off of redistricting, but we didn't. Let me take it back to as it relates to this particular bill. One of the questions asked was how many people are on the delegation for Fulton County, and the answer is 25. The makeup of that delegation is 13 Republican members and 12 Democrat members. If you take a look at the way that the members of that delegation are made up, you will notice that in the northern portions of the county, some of the members of our delegations don't even have a full voting precinct. They have a parcel of land, which adds the numbers to the Republican members of the delegation, which then allows that delegation by a majority to choose who would be the chair of the Board of Elections of Fulton County government. There is an obvious problem with that. And I want to state our opposition so that you all can know. We can see how the trend is going, but I just again will respectfully request to the members of this committee, as a brand new freshman representative that ran in the sweat of 105 degrees heat, to be elected because I thought I can make a difference in this house. And I thought that I would be working with my colleagues to do what is right for the people which we represent, not what is right for the members of our party. And for that reason, I ask that you vote no on this bill and allow the Fulton County Board of Commission to do what they have done for the many years and choose the chair of their election board. Thank you.
Ms. Jones, hang on just a second. Anyone have any questions? Okay, I got one. Okay, a couple. First of all, I respect you in that 105-degree heat, only you didn't have any gnats.
Or armadillo, sir.
Armadillo. You had to dodge armadillo. The other I want to talk to you about is this. Now, have y'all had a little bit of a problem just with that election board? Has there been some problems over there? Just kind of, or is that just the AJC trying to sell some fish wrappers down my way?
I tell you, because I was one of the people who were elected during the season, I was watching very closely of those problems. However, if we
do you think there were problems? I'm just asking. That's a yes or no.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
You do think now? Again, I think that's where some of this is coming from also.
I agree. But if we are going to strip under that theory that there were problems and therefore we should take the power away from the commission because they were one person one group that helped to determine who would be that board, well, then we need to take the power away from the House because we were also a part of making the decisions, and the Senate because we were a part of making that decision. Why don't we allow President Obama to make it because he was the only one that didn't have a dog in that fight, right?
Well, I didn't, but it's okay.
That is not a reason to take it from the Board of Commissioners because there was an error in personnel.
I understand.
This is a big county.
I understand, and I appreciate you saying that and giving us that answer too. Questions number 14, please.
Just out of curiosity, again, okay, it's 25 members of the delegation. Did it just get switched to it being 13 Republicans now, or has it always been that way?
That happened as a result of the reapportionment that just occurred this last election cycle.
Thank you.
Okay.
Prior to that.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions of the speaker? Anyone else wish to speak to the bill? Yes, ma'am. Come
question?
on. Wait, I got 2 questions. Hang on. 15, please.
What was the portion before that?
And to that, I cannot answer because I was not here, and I'm going to look at one of the members of the committee. What was the apportionment of the Fulton County delegation prior to this year? Does anyone know? My colleague.
Ma'am, I don't know. Do y'all know, Ms. Stevenson? Ms. Williams? Do you know? Hang on. Let me get the right answer here. Hang on. Just give me a minute. I'm not real good with machinery. Hang on just a second. Do you remember?
I think if I recall correctly, there was 22 members in the House. I think it was 14-8 Democratic. I think
14-8. Okay. It was okay. All right. 15 is there's
14-8.
Do you need to speak? 15, 14.
No.
Do you want to speak, ma'am? You wave. Okay. I'm trying to 26. I think is that 27. Okay,
that was me, Mr. Chair. I was actually going to answer.
Deferring? Okay.
I was going to answer that question, but then also say that in the delegation itself, often there might be 1 or 2 Republicans who attended the delegation meeting, but for the most part, it was a Democratic delegation that took part in the weekly meetings.
Let's try to keep it between the hedges here now. Okay.
You said we got to do it in here.
I know. I'm just. I don't want y'all to fuss now. So we got it. We got it. The questions to Ms. Jones. Is that right? She's standing in the well here. Okay. No more questions, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All right. Do we have anyone else speak to the bill? Oh, Mabel. Hang on just a second. Let me get it. You go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the distinguished committee. I rise in opposition to this piece of legislation. And I think, really, to be honest with you, I just couldn't resist having to put it on record because I don't mind. First of all, I understand power. Matter of fact, I like it. I'm not afraid of it. I understand how it works. But at some point, even though sometimes when legislation is put in from a perspective that ends up being a power play, that still is an opportunity for reason. So I basically come to reason with those legislators that do understand local control, that have served in the capacity of city council persons, county commissioners, and understand what it takes to be that. And I do understand that the author of the bill also has been a county commissioner. But what I'm asking you to do today is to not vote for this legislation because it unduly puts us in a situation where it just seems as if we're just reckless and abandoned or just trying to change every little thing and every big thing we can change to disempower county government and local control of Fulton County. And sometimes you can say, well, maybe that's not the case. But when you look at the series of legislation that's been put in, 170, 171, 72, and now these pieces of legislation, it seems as if there is a organized, systemic approach being put in place to disempower county government, Fulton County specifically. And what I believe is that if we allow it to go without dissent and protest, then what happens is it sets up a situation where other counties will say, well, let us also not work for the good of the whole. Let us just work for either a party, as been stated before, or let's just work to disempower some people that we may or may not like for whatever reason it may be. So I'm actually just trying to appeal to reason, not that I don't understand what the bill does, but I don't see any reason. I'm a member of the Fulton County delegation, but I think the word that was said by the chairman was a caucus. I didn't know what that meant. It said a caucus of the Fulton County delegation. I'm not sure what that means because on the House side, it may be 13, 12, but on the Senate side is a whole nother number. So I don't know what it meant specifically by a caucus of the Fulton County delegation, but if you're just talking numbers, then I'm asking that we not strip the power from the county commissioner, who is the person that sets, who's actually the funder of the election board, and until, as is stated before, this last election when personnel, was picked that was unqualified, had nothing to do with, with the county commission. It was those people that were appointed. But at the same time, I think that what we're doing is putting a bad precedent in place, and we're just showing how we can be and not showing what's possible. I appeal to you to look at what's possible. There's no reason to change the election board of Fulton County, and surely I do not want a vote in deciding who should be. Okay. All right. I do not necessarily, as Fulton County, want to vote to be able to say who should be in that position. I think the county commissioners can do that. They've done it in the past, and I think it should stay as it is because it does not really advance the state, nor does it advance Fulton County.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Thomas? There are no questions.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
I got one back there. I didn't see you, Ms. Teague. Hang on. You want her to go ahead, ma'am? You wait. All right. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Teague, kind of keep it. We got a lot of bills.
Very quick, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm still talking about reapportionment. If you have
No,
two at-large commissioners,
No
and you
more
make it
reapportionment.
one, wouldn't that change the dynamics from 100% from 50%? I mean,
Yeah.
wouldn't that change it? I'm just kind of lost
All right.
on that. That's
I'm
all.
not going to answer that one.
Thank you.
I'm not going to answer that one. We're not going to get on reapportionment. We're talking election boards now. I really don't want to do that. Come on up. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Sherry Williams, and I live in Representative Sheila Jones' district.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm an Atlanta native, born and raised. I would just simply ask all of the members of this committee to please oppose this bill. I'm one of the many residents that has been keeping track and going to the town hall meetings and hearings, and I stand here representing my fellow voters.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Will you? Okay. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like
Please
to
state
speak-
your name, please.
Michael Fitzgerald.
Yes, sir.
Speaking briefly, as a long-term, 3-decade resident of Fulton County, I can tell you that the Elections Board has been a problem since I've lived here. Of note, lately, the Elections Board has been a debacle, to say the least. In the last 2 major elections, including our senatorial race, it became a national embarrassment because and national press was brought to bear because we couldn't count the votes for our U.S. senator. Recently, the problems have continued and have become so egregious that the Secretary of State had to become of the state of Georgia had to become involved to try to understand the degree and the depth of the problems there, and still has not come up to a resolution. They're so complex and so deep. We cannot continue with the formula that we currently have and expect a different result. We've got Fulton County is larger than 6 states in the United States population-wise, and approaching 7. And we can't treat it like a county. It is as large as 6 states. And I think that there needs to be some oversight of the Elections Board, and I ask for your favor to vote for this bill. Thank you very much.
I appreciate what you say, but we got to count it as a county. It ain't its own country now. We got it's big, but it ain't that big.
I said it's just as big as.
I understand. I got you on that one. 17, you got a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, as a former county commissioner, I appreciate your comments, but I'm just curious to know why do you think that is a really good reason enough to not allow the county commissioners to have a say in appointing someone to serve on the Board of Elections?
Well,
because the way I understand it, right, the county commissioners won't have an opportunity to appoint someone for this board, but the state legislators will. Am I correct? Can you explain that to me, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I think I can. And the answer is we've done it in the past with disastrous results. The current configuration of how we determine who's on the Elections Board does not work, as proven by the last 2 major elections, where we've had to have state oversight in the last election to try to determine and resolve problems that still go unanswered. And in the race before that, they couldn't come up to a conclusion for the United States Senate race and held up the rest of the nation waiting to determine who our senator was going to be. So how could we continue with the same formula and expect a different result?
But not allowing the Board of Commissioners of Fulton to have some input, is that going to really fix that problem?
It can't hurt, because what's happening now is it's bad.
Okay.
It can only help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any more? Going once, going twice. Okay. We have before us House Bill 347 by Representative Riley and others. I stand for a motion. Yes, ma'am. You push your button. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion that we do pass House Bill 347.
We got a motion to pass. And do I have a second? Second. Push your button, also.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, state by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no? No. Okay, we'll have to poll. All opposed, please raise your right hand. 6. All opposed. It's 6. All in favor? 6. Chair votes in favor, and the reason I do that is because we have to have understanding that when these bills have the requisite signatures and the chairman's signature, they have to go on the local calendar. That is the rule in the House. Understand that? Okay?
So this now goes to the local calendar?
It goes on the local calendar, yes, ma'am. All right, the next bill I'm going to bring is a general bill. This does not require requisite signatures at all. Okay? It doesn't matter how many signatures are on this bill. Mr. Willard, if you'll bring House Bill 443, please. It's the only one like this in that. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And members of the committee, House Bill 443 deals with our magistrate court judge in Fulton County. We are, I think, the only magistrate judge in the state that is not elected magistrate judge. And that was set up by local legislation a number of years ago when the creation of the court. And the past year there was a commission set up by the chief judges of both the state court and the superior court, which I was privileged and honored to serve with. And we looked at a number of things as far as the operation of the courts in Fulton County and ways to make them more efficient, more economic, and really have the courts coordinating and working better together. And it came to one of the recommendations was that the chief, or the magistrate, excuse me, of the magistrate court be in fact an elected position, as is done in all the other counties around the state. And the reason for that is so that we would have someone who is answerable to the people in the position as magistrate judge, and who would have the direct authority, oversight, and direction to the other associate magistrate judges. We have, I think, in Fulton County 8 associate magistrate judges, and I call it a plethora of part-time magistrate judges. And it's really a difficult thing for the other courts to try and manage that. So this is the purpose behind the bill, Your Honor.
It does have a nonpartisan election in it.
That's the reason.
That is the reason that this bill is a general bill.
Correct.
It's considered that way in the House. I don't think there's very, very much opposition to this. It's just creating an elected official, which, in fact, I always feel is a better opportunity for the people to decide than an appointment. I would like a motion at this time. I need a motion first. Move to pass by Mr. Carson.
Don't be shy.
18. Do I
Second.
have a motion and a second? All in favor of the bill, state by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? How many opposed? Okay, let's go with the opposition first by show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, ma'am. She's opposed on the end. You're opposed. 5 opposed. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Same. It's 6-6. I'll vote in favor because this one is just a general election. I think the election of the party is better than the appointment of the party.
Correct.
Mr. Willard, there's a weird bill you've got. I don't mean that you are itself weird, but it's a little strange.
I take front of that.
That has to do, and are you going to explain this one with Representative Geisinger? It's not really yours.
No, sir.
You're not going to try to explain that one?
she's with
Okay, all right, I just didn't know. This one, let me explain to each one of the members of the committee, and this one is a little bit of a difficult bill to understand. First, let me see if and I want you here, Mr. Willard, because you're a learned attorney also, and you happen to live in Atlanta. There used to be something, ladies and gentlemen, some of you may not know this, and you have to go back in history, something called a local amendment to the Constitution, okay? Now, a local amendment of the Constitution allowed this position to be the way it is, okay? And the Fulton County delegation actually doesn't have, they have to approve this as a local thing, but the General Assembly has to vote on this because of its constitutionality. Now, this is where we are on this bill on is it 347? Is that right? No, 348. 346. I'm sorry. I'm getting bills mixed up. They're coming at me head and left here. I just want the committee to understand how this posture is and why this is where it is. And Ms. Riley, if you'll bring Mr. Geislinger's bill, we're going with it one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. House Bill 346, sponsored by Representative Harry Geisinger, seeks to reverse a prior action that was a local constitutional amendment, and that action at the time made the Fulton County Tax Commissioner an elected position. House Bill 346 will reverse that action and put the appointment of the County Tax Commissioner back in the body of the Fulton County Commission. This will provide for greater accountability in this specific service area and prohibit the Fulton County Tax Commissioner from certain practices that he currently undertakes. I ask for your favorable consideration.
Okay, may I ask you a question, and I will ask for members to speak too if anyone wishes to speak. How much does this man make?
Currently, the gentleman in office receives close to $350,000 per year compensation based on certain agreements that he has entered into for personal compensation for public service.
So he makes more than the governor?
Yes, sir.
And the President of the United States at this point? Almost. Okay. I think I see where this one came from. All right. Number 23, you want a question?
Yeah. Does other counties, large counties, have an appointed tax commissioner versus an elected tax commissioner? I'm up north of the Nat line, and we don't have any armadillos, but I am from a small community, and we have an elected tax commissioner. So is some of the counties in Atlanta have an appointed tax commissioner?
The general law covers the normal situation, which is elected tax commissioners. As the chairman pointed out, there's a 1951 local constitutional amendment applicable only to Fulton County that allows the legislature to set up the office as either an appointive office or an elective office. The office for many years was an appointive office until it was changed in 2002, and it's turned out to be a disaster. And so we're looking to make it a change back and allow the oversight of the tax commissioner's office to be rested back with the county commissioners.
And just one follow-up, if I could, Chairman. So would this require a constitutional amendment also? So it's not required? The
constitutional amendment survives to this day.
Okay.
And we can no longer do those, Mr. Tanner. No, we can't. They're no longer viable, and they're considered unconstitutional as by constitutional amendment. But the old ones hold in there. They grandfather in. That's where they come from. Okay. 17.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just trying to figure all this out. So we're asking this particular bill will allow the county commissioners of Fulton County to appoint someone that makes $300,000+.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Whoever tax commissioner is coming through the appointment by the by the county commissioners will not be making those type of funds.
How much they make? Okay, well, however
Normal
much money they're
salary.
making, you're asking for the Fulton County Board of Commissioners to make that appointment.
That's right.
For tax commissioner, but we're not allowing the Fulton County Board of Commissioners to make appointment to the elections board. But anyway,
that is correct.
Okay. Now, how long has this person been in this position?
As an elected official since about 2002 or 4.
The policy seeks to change a practice and is directed towards that practice.
Number 27. Wave. Number 14.
I don't understand that. You're taking some powers away from the county commissioners, but in this instance where you want this bill passed, you're asking that the county commissioners appoint somebody as a tax commissioner. In most counties, the tax commissioner is an elected official.
That's right. All other 158 counties, and even this county at this time, is elected official. The constitutional amendment allows either to be elected or appointed by the Board of Commissioners, and we're bringing the bill to have it placed back in as an appointed position and oversight by the board.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Jones? Okay, I'll take.
Does this bill consider a local bill that took the requisite number of signatures by
Yes,
the
ma'am,
local delegation
it
as
is.
well?
It does have the requisite number of
Okay.
signatures.
Okay.
It does. Ms. Jones?
Chair, I'll be brief, and this is in fact a local bill, and it did receive 13 signatures, although it was not discussed amongst the delegation. Again, made 13 from the Republican Party and 12 from the Democratic Party. I would like to present to this committee another resolution from the Fulton County Commission opposing HB 346. It has been determined by them that they do not want to take the elected power away from its voters by changing this from an elected position to an appointed position. You know, if I could do math a little bit better, Chair, I probably will run for this very well-paid position myself, but I can't. So my other proposition to the committee would be to have a friendly amendment removing Section 5, which is the questionable section. I have no problem if this committee thinks that this position is overpaid. What I do have a problem with is taking away the voting power of the citizens of Fulton County by removing this from an elected position.
May I ask you a question while I've got you here? Hang on just a second, everybody. Has it ever occurred to the Fulton County Commission that they could have made ordinances and local things to limit what he was charging as far as the percentage in these counties? And why didn't they do that? We had the same problem down where I live, okay? I mean, this honest problem that a person was making about $180,000 a year down there because they were using 1% to collect taxes, whether people paid them or whether they didn't. And I was, you know, our commission came up with an idea of saying they could only be charged on the uncollected taxes. And those are the kind of things that the commission should do over a period of time. Why didn't they? Can you answer that question to me? And I know you're not on that board of commissioners, and if you don't know the answer, you can say, yeah, I don't know.
I'll start by saying I don't know, but then I will add, as I mentioned previously, although that may have been a decision that this body feels they should have made, it is no more the authority or the appropriateness of the state to make a decision for a county as it is for the federal government to come and tie the hands of the state. And so although we may not agree, we have to respect the local power that we've given to our county governments.
I understand some of that.
Thank you, Chair.
I will just explain to you, too, that down where I live, and we had a local government that somehow another $500,000 went amiss, and they wouldn't do an audit. So somebody had to do something because nobody else would. I'm just saying in that regard, I mean, I kind of fault the Fulton County Commission for not reining some of this in. I got a little bit of a heartburn on this one. I'll just be honest with you.
I understand, and I'll say one last thing, and I will take my seat. It is my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the reason why his salary is so high is because a portion of his funds comes from the newly created northern cities in Fulton County. Had it not been for the creation of those cities and the results of that, that salary would not have increased to the amount that it is. So I think that this is a longer-term problem, and I understand your concern. But
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you, Chair.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Yes, ma'am. Hang on. I'll get back to you. 23.
Hate to keep asking questions, but I do have one other question on this one. On where it talks about they're appointed to a 4-year term, and this is probably handled somewhere else in the law, just because they're appointed, that doesn't mean they're going to be a good employee or do a good job. What is the removal process since it's a 4-year term? If the commission's unhappy with the job that they're doing, how can they make a change in that position since it's a term instead of just hiring an employee to be the CFO or that type of process?
Thank you for that question. I do believe there is in the law, not before you, but in current law, that allows removal for cause through a certain procedure.
And that the commission would be able to take that on and remove
As
that
they
person.
will with other employees of the county.
Okay.
27, please. 27.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, I wanted to, if I could, clarify what Representative Jones said. She offered a change on lines, and I didn't hear that. We went into something else really quick before I could ask her to clarify that.
Her motion was that they strike Section 5.
The complete section. Okay, thank you.
That was her motion. Is that correct, Ms. Jones?
That is correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. That was the motion. All right. Well, I'm looking for questions at this point in time. Yes, ma'am. You got another speaker to the bill. Yes, ma'am.
Body. I'm the chair of my name is Erica Pines. I'm chair of the Fulton County Democratic Party, and I think that this is just appalling that this would even be introduced. I, as a chair of an elections party, cannot sit here and be comfortable with taking the power of the people away from electing their tax commissioner. We don't even see this. This is obvious what this is, and his salary is performance-based. I wish more of our elected officials had performance-based things, because obviously he's doing a good job. And the only thing that I've heard about this bill was, ooh, he's making too much money, he's making too much money. Let's talk about that, but to remove the voices of the people from the process and to put it in the hands of a commission who says they don't want it. They've said, we don't want that role. And to move it out of there, I just find that absolutely appalling, and I just encourage everybody up here to vote against this. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Hang on just a second. Will you have any questions of the young lady? Yes, ma'am. Do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, maybe, and for whoever can answer. Here again, county commissioner background. I've always heard tax commissioner, probate judge, clerk of court, and the sheriff were all constitutional officers.
They are, ma'am.
So I could very well introduce legislation to change my clerk of court from being elected, or my sheriff from being elected to being an appointed person.
No, ma'am.
Okay,
the
what's
only
the difference?
reason, I'm going to try to explain this again. The only reason that this can be done is in this county. They have the right in this county because of a constitutional amendment of 1951, which you may not believe this, but before I was born, okay? And it was a long time ago. And they did these things, and these constitutional amendments caused a lot of problems over the years. I'm not going to say that it's one of the reasons that they were done away with, is because they do cause problems. But they are part of the Constitution of Georgia. You know, we all raise our hand to uphold that Constitution. And that's part of it. I don't have an answer to your question on the fact that, you know, well, you just have to do what you feel is right and wrong. But under the circumstances, the Fulton County has that right. They have that right. Again, I don't have a dog in the fight, but I'm here to hear it, and we're here to look at it. That's what we're here to do. Yes, ma'am. Did you want to speak?
Sure. I just had a quick question. What is the base salary of
You
the
have to
tax?
please state your name, ma'am.
Sure. Keisha Waste, District 60.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. What is the base salary of the tax commissioner?
I think about 126,000.
Okay. Is it my understanding that the prospective cities choose to utilize his services? Am I correct on that?
We would like to clarify that the city of Atlanta is actually the largest city that has contracted with the tax commissioner to for the services, and it is on a per parcel basis. So, quite frankly, the city of Atlanta provides the predominant amount of compensation to the tax commissioner.
Okay, so it's a choice with respect to the cities involved. It's a choice. And the cities are?
The cities of Atlanta, Johns Creek, and Sandy Springs.
Thank you.
Ms. Waits, let me try to help you on this a little bit.
Please.
So I know there's a lot of controversy in here, but let me try to explain to you. Tax commissioners kind of set their own way, okay? And whether you're paying your taxes or not, it's always been the problem that I've had with tax commissioners when they come up. I mean, if you can charge for people that pay their taxes, they're going to get 1%. If there's no problem, they just come in at the end of the month, they pay, at the end of the year, they pay their ad valorem. They're going to get that, whether it's corporate, whether it's residents, whatever it is, cars, trucks, bicycles, motorcycles, whatever they got, okay? Whatever's got a title to it, and they come in and pay their property taxes on, they get a portion of that, okay? And not the uncollected, which takes the most work. There is no work in somebody writing a check, putting it with that little bill and putting it in an envelope and sending it to you. There is no work involved in that. And I have always had heartburn on them getting that kind of money. Now, if they've got to go out and get some money from somebody, and they've got to they have to take a notice or, sign paperwork to put a lien against a home or against a house or whatever, I understand that. But on this other, I've got a problem with it. And I think any county that doesn't take consideration on doing that, then they're doing it wrong. And, it's kind of like I asked the command commissioners in my district when we had a little problem about their charter. I said, we've been in existence since 1854. Why hadn't you done something about it now? You've had 100 and some odd years to do something about it. That's when I think the legislature comes into point. When people won't do, or they're, because of affiliations or friendships or whatever, sometimes you've got to go beyond that. And I think that's kind of what's happened here. Honestly, that's my opinion. That's an old South Georgia philosopher now. I don't know if that's always right or always wrong. But I do think that you get an opinion of that, okay?
I simply wanted to go on record and voice my support in terms of the friendly amendment by Representative Jones.
I understand that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, 27.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the appropriate time, I would actually like to make that motion on the
Okay, it's not
suggestion.
that time yet, okay? 25.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two questions. One is Section 8A that is on page 2, lines 35 through 37, that sets forth the tax commissioner is prohibited from receiving compensation from any source of performing the duties of his and her office. That's new, correct? That's new.
That is correct.
Yes, ma'am.
If in fact, because I believe I heard you say, Mr. Chair, that the county commission itself fell short in not properly, for lack of a better term, supervising the tax commissioner. Yet this, control.
Had no control.
Right. Well, but I think the chair said they could have exercised more control by coming forth.
Well,
but
they'd have to have local legislation on to do it. I mean, they got to come up here and ask for it.
Okay, but my point is, the county commission has now said they don't want that, and then you have a section in the bill that could apply to the sitting or any elected tax commissioner that would take away some of the concerns I think you raised. But my second part of that question, of my question, is how many, I know there's 25, I know it takes 13 to sign. Were there more than 13 signatures on this bill?
No.
Okay. Were there more than 13 on any of the local bills that we've passed?
No.
That would be the 171 and the 347.
Not to my knowledge.
So it's been a straight partisan split. I think
It's been
we just
13
need to
And
know.
that's why we're here, Ms.
Right.
Stevens.
I
But
know,
we got
but I
a
think-
real divided
Right.
issue here, and I'm just bringing it forward so we don't argue this on the floor.
Right. So we've divided our committee because they're divided.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, 14. Hang on. Let me
No,
get-
I waive.
You
That was
waiving?
my question.
Okay,
But-
just a minute. 17, wait a minute. I said, are you waiving? You waived?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 17. 14? Okay, 17 waive. I'll get it right in a minute.
Mr. Chairman, as a freshman, I'm struggling with this because it's divided on party line. We got a group of people that did not even meet with the entire delegation to get a decision on all these bills. It is 6 o'clock. We're still here debating about Fulton County, and even with the votes up here, we are split.
I understand that.
And at some point, people are watching Fulton County.
Well,
They're
ma'am,
looking at Fulton County with what is going on right here in this room.
you're asking me if you're confused. I'm confused too. But I'm
saying that
the only thing I'm going to tell you is I'm trying to be fair to this group because they have the requisite signatures. And understand no matter who has the requisite signatures, because I can remember in the past, and I've been on both sides of this issue now, understand. I'm probably one of the few in here that has. I've seen it in the other realm. Is that not right, Ms. T?
That's correct, sir.
That when there was 14 to 12 on the other side of the fence, and it went the other way and divided down these lines. What the speaker has asked me to do, and even the minority party has asked me to do, that we not debate these on the floor, that we debate them in here. If there's going to be controversy, if it's down that line, and you wait, we got some from DeKalb coming. You think it's fun here? This is going to be even more fun. And I'm just going to explain something. I'm here to referee the fight, okay? But in all honesty, I didn't have to have a meeting today. I can take these bills, sign them off, and go. I'm doing this in fairness to everybody in this House of Representatives who I respect. And I respect these two folks as much as I respect you in this committee. I want y'all to understand that the requisite signatures and the party chairman's signature automatically puts these bills that are considered local bills on the local calendar. And that's why I vote the way I do. It's the only way I can vote because I'm following the rules. I can't do anything else but follow the rules. And that's where we are. And in that regard, do we have any more? Ms. Teague, please be brief because we got some more. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've been here in this seat a long time, and I'm 55 years old, and it's getting wore out.
Stand up, Mr. Chairman. Take a break, but let me talk while you do it. I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, this tax commissioner that we have, you say we should have moved him or whatnot if he was doing so wrong and whatnot for Fulton County, but he's the same man that we had when we appointed him. Fulton County appointed him to this position. Fulton County, the commissioners appointed him. I don't know if you were there or not, but I do know that whoever represented your area before you, they appointed him. Then they got mad at him because he charged some people with not paying their taxes, and they were elected in this body. And they got together, two parties, and decided you gonna run.
Okay.
So they've done what the process calls for, so then they made the man run. The man's been running, and he's been winning. And his salary is not debatable, because if there was anything wrong with it, they would have took him out.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I just want to make it clear. I don't want nobody to think that our tax commissioner has done something wrong and Fulton County is not doing his job. They're doing their job. They're doing what they said they wanted to do. And when the people actually made it where he had to run for it, at that particular time, nobody said anything, and they made a position to do that. So it's not like he's doing something he shouldn't be. You may not make as much money as him, but the real deal is that's what it's called for. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. And I understand that, and again, I think I know where it's coming from, and I think everybody else does. But it doesn't matter. And again, committee, it doesn't matter because it's not our district. Some of y'all might live in the district, but it's not our district. Okay? Now, here we go. No more talking on the bill of this. Miss Mabel, I'll give you 3.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask, in other words, if the way the local legislation, I'm rusty, so the way local legislation is set in place, you do not have to, and first of all, I want to appreciate you having a hearing. We want to say that right away, to have this hearing. But so if a person put in local legislation, just as long as they get sick, they do not ever have to bring it before the body of that delegation?
It's up to it's up to the rules, yes, to answer that question. But it's also up to my discretion. The Speaker's given me that discretion. When there is controversy, I bring it before the committee. And the reason I bring it before the committee is because I want them to air it out in here. Because this is where we need to air it out, because the Speaker and the minority party have both agreed on a gentleman's agreement, or gentlelady's agreement in your case, that we don't want to debate local bills on the floor. Now, you have the ability to call bills off and vote them separate if that's what you want to do. That is the privilege of the individuals, okay? I, on the other hand, am the chairman of the committee, and I have to do what I think is best. And I'm just doing what I thought was best. I'm not trying to make anybody to interpret this in any way. Again, most of the people on this committee don't have a dog in the hunt. We're not from there. I understand. But you're not. I understand. You do, and I appreciate that. But and again,
but so the
yes,
question, but all I'm trying to get on the record, so the record is that if you're in a delegation, whether it's Douglas County, Cobb County, or whatever, if you have signatures, you never have to bring it to a forum, any type of meeting. You can just immediately just go forward with it.
I can sign off on those bills if the requisite signatures, if they've met the rules of the House. It's a local bill. And the reason we don't debate local bills is because of that fact. It's a local bill. It's the issue.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I thank you.
But it's like me. I'm a delegation for Bacon County, and when I meet in the phone booth, figure out what I'm going to do. Okay. But I'm just saying that, and again, from wherever if you've got 25, it's harder to do. If it's 1, it's real easy. I can argue with myself, and it's like. But again, and that's just from where you're from, basically, as to what your delegation rules are. I mean, again, that's why I asked what the delegation rules are. The delegation rules come to me, and I go by the delegation rules, and I go by the rules of the House.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask then. So as a like you say, you want to be as fair as you can. Each vote that we've taken in the last 2 votes have been a tie vote, and you broke it on the side of the author. So I'd like to ask that you break it this time on the side of the press.
Miss Mabel, I appreciate you saying that, but I'm going to have to explain to you if the minority party brought a bill for this committee with the requisite signatures, and it was a tie vote on this committee, I would vote with the minority party just as what I would for the majority party, because the rules state, and I have to do what the rules state. That is my obligation. Okay. With that being said, yes, ma'am.
One quick question, because my colleague, when she reminded me she was from Fulton, it made me think. Well, when we have the number of the prerequisite number of signatures,
yes, ma'am,
and then if we were to vote do not pass, what would happen?
Honestly, I can sign the bill and and put it on the local calendar or I can just adopt it. Either way.
Okay. So
I
really,
have that right.
Right. So really, we're voting, but the ultimate decision
is
lies
left
with
to me.
You as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's what I want to be clear on.
And sometimes I don't enjoy that power. I don't. And there are other times that when I'm up here, I'm just trying to be fair. But that's the rule, and that's what it is, and that's what they're giving me to do. That's the only thing I have to do.
Because I did hear the cab is coming right out.
Yes, ma'am, you are. They are loaded, trust me. But they got a divided thing over there now, trust me.
No, we're
y'all on this time?
We're 14.
Okay, 27.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do also, as a person who lives in Fulton County, has lived in Fulton County for almost 24 years, and who also represents Fulton County, I want to thank you for at least giving us the opportunity to do this. So I really do appreciate that. And in regards to that, I want to say that this, and I get what the rules say, but I think also as colleagues of each other that we could tend to be a little bit more open with each other. I know for myself, I have asked for Fulton County delegation to meet in a friendly way. I have tried to sit down with the chair and have that conversation. We were at dinner and I asked a simple question: when can we meet again? My constituents need to know what's going on. And so I do believe we have only had one delegation meeting and then one hearing on 171, 170, 171 and 172, and now this is the third time that we have met this well, we're not even meeting, I'm sorry. So just to give people the background on it, when people ask how did the signatures come about, and you know, of course we can all go to someone's office and sign a bill or to the clerk, but there has not been an opportunity for us as a delegation to really sit down and hash this out. So I appreciate you allowing us to do that.
Yes, ma'am. And again, I'm just trying to be fair. I know it's a hard issue, and we're up here to make hard decisions. That's why we get paid that big salary we get. Okay. All right, 17. One more question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I want to add on to the other comments from my colleagues. Thank you for hosting this committee meeting. Considering that there are 8 items on this agenda, and we've already heard 2. And it seems as though you're stating that because of the requisite signatures, I'm kind of confused of does the other 6 bills have the necessary signatures?
Yes, ma'am.
So we just going to be basically going through the same process we did?
Ma'am.
Okay. And it's already after 6 o'clock?
Well, let me say this, and I will ask the committee. First of all, I want to go ahead and get a vote on this one first, okay? Because we're standing in the posture of this bill. One more to speak? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hi. Again, I'm Sherry Williams, and a resident of Fulton County. But I just want to appeal to all of my fellow elected officials here. And again, Mr. Chair, I want to thank you for having this hearing. You know, I believe that at some point, all of us need to do the right thing. And while you have the signatures, there is a procedure. At some point, we need to do what's in the best interest of the people that elected you to represent them. And I think that it is unfortunate that most of the folks who have elected you don't know these rules and don't understand how the process works. With that said, if we continue as this body to do the same thing, where one side is always got one up on the other, regardless of who's in the majority, we are going to be doing injustices to not only current voters, but future voters. So while you've already been lobbied, most of you made up your mind before you came in here, I just want to appeal to you that the madness needs to stop at some point. Because this, in the long run, does not really benefit the folks, myself as a voter. It doesn't benefit me as a voter to see stuff just ram through. And many of the bills that are on the agenda today have actually been catapulted through the legislature. And that's a travesty, too. So I just want to appeal to you that maybe it's not in time for this list of bills here, which is a travesty, but in the future, we need to, you know, take off our red and blue coats and put on our for the people coats. Because there are people dying to get into this country and to be a part of this democracy. And then when we are elected, I said we because we the people, when we are elected and then when we have elected officials, we expect for them to do the right thing for the short term and the long term. So I would not like to come to another hearing anywhere in the United States and continue to see us playing like little kids, you know, because my party's this and your party's that, then I can't possibly support it. You know, that's running running our democracy into the ground. So again, I just wanted to go on the record to appeal to you to stop the madness. And while you don't have a dog in the fight, and several of you don't have a dog in the fight, if the power can be stripped from Fulton County, it can be stripped from other counties. Mm-hmm. This is starting a precedence. Well, so don't think that your county might not be next. So with that, I want to take my seat, and I just want to say that sometimes it is hard to do the right thing, to be the one that crosses over, to do the right thing. But it is better to do the right thing than not.
Yes, ma'am.
So keep that in mind.
I
Thank
agree,
you.
I couldn't agree with you more. And
Thank
if you
you.
will, you can be seated, ma'am. And again, and to answer the lady's statement, again, we stand in a posture here that we're governed by a set of laws and we're governed by a set of rules. Now, the courts don't recognize our rules, but they do recognize the law. Sometimes when we and I'm being philosophic now, sometimes things have been tried many times, young freshmen. They sometimes have been here 12 and 13 and 14, 15 years. I've seen things come and go and come and go and come and go. But in all honesty, when things are not going exactly to plan and when they don't go right, a little change is not. You got to let that go. Sometimes it's, you know, you got to eat, you know, the duck with the feathers. Okay. Now the feathers are not as good, but in order to get to the real meat of the problem, you got to eat the feathers too. I don't like eating them any better than anybody else does. But I'm just going to say that the bottom line is this. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. If it don't work out, somebody will be back. I guarantee you. I guarantee you somebody will be back if this doesn't work. And that's what law is all about. That's what change is. This is, as they say, is a work in progress. It is a living document. The Constitution of Georgia and all the code books of Georgia are a living document. They just continue to work. They'll be working when I'm dead and gone. They'll still be doing the same thing. So let's look at it. Let's look at it in those regards, and let's go ahead and let's get a vote on this bill because it's getting late. I stand for a motion on House Bill 346. Yes, ma'am. I forgot. You did have a motion for an amendment. Wait a minute. Hang on just a second. I think that let me try to state the posture of this. If you move, there would have to be another. If this was to pass, then another ad would have to be run because this does not meet the ad standard. Okay, on a local bill. Your ad has to state what you're doing, and if it was to change it significantly, you'd have to run another ad. Okay, in order to do this. Okay. All right. So now the stand for the motion. Am I right, Mr. Chairman? Take a main question motion. All right, I'm going to say motion do pass. That's right. We haven't passed the bill yet, so we got to do the motion do pass first. That's what I thought. So we'll go ahead and ask for a do pass on House Bill 346.
Make a motion do pass House Bill 346.
I got a motion to pass. Do I have a second? The motion and a second. All in favor, but state by saying aye. Aye. We got to say aye. Hang on. All opposed for the 346? Okay. You opposed the first motion. We're moving to previous question on the bill. Okay. Yes, ma'am. After the bill, if it's up or down. If the bill doesn't pass, then it doesn't.
What you might do, Mr. Chairman, you take the main motion. Once your motion's pending, then there can be any motion.
Okay, now I'm sorry. Yeah. You're right, Mr. Chairman. Get with me now. I'm getting late here. All right. We do have before us a motion and with a do pass recommendation and a second. Is there any amendments to the or any motion thereof?
I'd like to make a motion, please.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we strike Section 5 of House Bill 346.
There's a motion to strike Section 5. Do I hear a second? I have a second. All in favor of the motion to strike Section 5, all state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we got a poll again. All right, polling the section, all in favor of the motion to strike Section 5, please raise your right hand. 6. All opposed to the motion? 6. I'm going to oppose the motion. All right. Because it would entail having to go back and redo the. Okay. All right. Now
your main question.
Now the main question. All opposed, all in favor, state by saying aye on House Bill 346. All opposed? Is it 6 and 6 again? I like that down there, but it don't work that way. It don't work that way. Okay, I vote in favor. We've passed House Bill 346. It's on the local calendar. All right. If I may, ladies and gentlemen, it's at this late time, it's 6:15. We've been here almost 2.5 hours. I'm going to ask, because it's going to end up 7-6 each time, and you got to understand, and I'm going to state again, each one of these bills has met the requisite number of signatures and the chairman's signature and the affidavit. Okay? Do you mind? I'm not going to ask y'all to vote. Do you mind for me to just go ahead and put these bills on like I normally would have done? I guarantee you'll get something. You'll be able to, if you want to call these bills off individually, ma'am, you can. You're a part of the Fulton delegation. You have that right. You can vote each one of these, but I will ask, as a gentleman's agreement among this committee and among the folks that are out here in the audience, that we do not debate these on the floor, because we've had a chance to debate it here. Okay? And some of this stuff I understand, and some of it I don't understand. I don't have a lot in the fight. And so that's what we're going there. Does the committee agree to that? I'm not asking you to vote. I'm just asking you to agree to let me go ahead and sign these things, and let's go with this.
So we can't do it on the floor, nor can we do it in here, is what?
Well, no, ma'am, you can debate all you want to in here. I'm letting you debate. If you want us to debate the rest of these bills, we can, but it's going to end up 7-6.
I realize that. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ronnie Mabra, District 63.
Yes, sir.
The gentleman's agreement we're talking about here, I want to be able to get on the floor and say a few words about this.
You can do that, but with personal privilege, sir, or as part of them. You can go down and speak as part of the your motions in the first of the morning. I call it personal privilege, and they call it something else now. Morning orders. You can, with your morning order, go down and speak to that if you wish to.
No one else can go down?
Yes, sir. They can. If you want a morning order to go down, I would rather we limit it, though, because the speaker's going to get a little bit ill as to calling it a debate under the motion of those orders, okay? But you got the right to go down and speak to what you want to.
All right, just to get clarification, is that the gentleman's agreement, is that the official agreement that we can't talk about it, or is that the gentleman's agreement?
The reason, let me explain to you, Mr. Mabry, you're young.
Yes, I'm trying to understand. That's right, yeah.
You're young and new. We have always decided on the House floor that we don't debate local bills on the floor. First of all, it takes too long. Second of all, we have a local calendar that you don't have to go to rules with, okay? You don't have to take these bills to rules, okay? Understand that?
I certainly understand.
And so if you take a bill to rules, the debate calendar, you can come down, you can sign up to speak to the bills. These bills are supposed to just go right on. Now, again, you have your Senate delegation for Fulton County, and you miss some of the part with the other stuff. There is also on all these election bills and all non-election bills where you appoint to elect or appoint not to elect, they still have to go through the Justice Department. They have to be pre-screened and done. In all honesty, and you have the right to go down there as far as personal privilege in the morning or morning orders and speak to the bill or speak against the bill if you wish to. They're only going to give you about a minute. I mean, that's normally. And I wouldn't go down there with, a lot of fire and brimstone. I just speak to the bill. But that's your privilege, and that is the privilege of the House Representatives, and I would stand in anybody's way to let you talk. But if we will, let's please not debate it, because I'll have to move the previous question, and I don't want to do that. And it's not a good thing to do, to debate these on the floor.
Okay, but I just wanted to clear, so the gentleman's
It's a gentleman's
just
agreement.
a gentleman, but you can do it. I know what you're talking about with
You
time.
won't be able to go to the floor and debate. He won't allow you to go to the well and debate a local bill.
I got
What the way you debate these is get on the floor at your desk and start asking personal, parliamentary inquiry, and the speaker's going to cut you off, and then you're going to get, without further ado, you're going to get a little ill, and he's going to get ill, and there ain't no use in getting ill.
Oh, yeah.
Just go, and if you don't like, there's many a morning, I'm going to be honest with you, I've sat down there and ate those feathers with the duck, okay? And it tasted like I don't know what. I've had to eat it. And some of these bills I don't like. I'll vote against if I don't like it. And you can vote against it if you don't like it. That's your privilege, okay? But the responsibility of this House is that, and I'm holding to what the Speaker has asked me, and he's been good and allow me to do this and be this committee chairman. But he's asked me to please ask folks, let's not debate these things on the floor, because he's not going to allow it. For number one, he's not going to let you come to the well and debate it. There's just been an agreement there. So let's just don't do that from the desk. If you want to do a personal privilege motion, whatever those things are called, morning order. I'm old. I came out old school. It used to be personal privilege. But anyway, the morning order, you want to go down and speak to it, you can. That'll be your privilege. You sign up, do what you want to do. And they do have a shot in the Senate. And y'all got a section over there, and I'm going to tell you, Justice Department's going to have to rule.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go. Thank you. I don't know what the rules are in SLOGO now. I'll be honest with you. I don't.
They did the same thing over there as they did in the House. So when you're doing something to somebody and you don't expect any type of rebuttal.
See me offline. You come over here. You can come see me. You see me offline on it.
I'll give you a message for the speaker.
I understand. Yes, ma'am. All right, is that okay with us? We go ahead and get these things signed, because that's the way it's going to. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a responsibility.
What's that? 27?
27.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a responsibility to my constituents. When I go back to the grocery store tonight, they're going to ask me what I said and what I did, and I'm going to have to tell them that I did not get an opportunity to talk about these bills. So you're right. I respect you as a chairman and make your decision. But I just want to be on record to say that I do have a responsibility to my constituents to be able to tell them what happened during this process. And I realize it's late, but as we shut this down, I will have to say to them, we did not discuss the bills and they went forward. So I just want to be on record saying that. So when I tweet that out, it's a true statement. Thank you.
Let me explain to you what these bills are, and before.
No, I'm very clear on what they
Okay.
are. I've read them and talked
just
about
for the
them.
members of the committee, I just
Okay,
want to make
thank
sure.
you.
The first one is 442, 444, and 443. I'm going to go down. Basically, the payroll of the state court of Fulton County shall have the oversight of the court's budget. I don't think there's very much controversy among that. I haven't heard anything no one call anything on that. That's to let you know that that's all it does. The other one is to supplement the salaries of the judges of the Superior Court. And basically, the Board of Commissioners, they'll adjust, I'm sorry, to supplement. Board of Commissioners shall pay to each of the judges salaries paid by the state to the sum of not less than $49,000. Basically, that's what that does. And the other one is 443. Is that, we already did that one, didn't we? Yeah, we already did with 443. So basically, those are the other two that we're having. That's the only other things. Now, Mr. Martin has taken 172 off he's going to have to rerun an ad. He wants to do something else to the bill. He is going to readjust that one. And 170 is on the calendar, and it's being postponed, and that's up to the gentle lady to whether she wants to do whatever she wants to do with it. And does the committee agree I just want to make sure you don't have to vote. I'm just wanting to make sure we have an agreement. If that holds true, first of all, I want to thank everybody, Ms. Briley and the members of the committee. It's tough to come up here and do this, and I want to thank you for coming and indulging this. Each person has a right, and if I think there's controversy, I'll bring it in here. But I have to state the rules of this House. I do have to state them. Yes, ma'am. 25.
Making the decision, I'd like to ask the question, is it anyone in the audience or the public that was here to speak in opposition of any of these bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Because that'd be important, the ones that we're getting ready to put together. But
are you speaking in opposition just because you're in opposition, or just because it's the way the signatures were, Miss Sharon? You come see me and I'll talk to you about it. I understand that.
I just want to make sure no one came from the public.
Any other members of the public want to do that? Ma'am, can you be brief? Oh, okay, I understand. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. But no one just came specifically for one of those two last bills. Is that correct? All right. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, and we'll stand adjourned.